Alrighty, all welcome back to the channel. We're back on the internet together again today. Election promises broken in the 2026 federal budget. Who could have seen that coming? This is the aftermath. Let's jump in, and once again, we're going to have a good rant. So if you're here for that, let's get amongst it.
Well, despite emphatically ruling out changes to negative gearing and the capital gains discount on April 9, 2025...
Can you rule out any changes to negative gearing and capital gains tax?
Yes. Looks like a straight up stun mullet, doesn't he? How can you trust anyone? You know they would have straight away, as soon as he would have gotten in, they would have been sitting behind closed doors and they would have been scheming on how to, rile up more tax, how to shake us down for more. Oh, it's for intergenerational equality because all the younger people, they're all carrying on, they're screaming about it. Let's use that as the tagline and let's tax them too.
How hard is it for the 50th time?
For the 50th time, that's right, because it has been repeated time and again. The Albanese government will, though, overhaul both schemes in the biggest tax shake-up this country has seen in decades. To discuss, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese joins us live now from Canberra. Prime Minister, good morning to you. Has your word ever been your bond?
Good morning, Sarah. Good to be with you. Sarah, we've changed our position. I'm upfront about that. We've changed our position.
You're upfront about it now because it's been changed. How could you say you didn't? I'm upfront about that. You didn't change your position only a matter of weeks ago. When you told the bloke, you basically called him a stun mullet, saying that how hard is it to have basic English comprehension? Now you're here standing in front of us saying you changed your position.
Because we've thrown absolutely everything at supply. We've had increased funding for public...
Yeah, what about all the bloody immigrants that are coming in that also need homes to live in? So why don't we just stop that, okay? And no shade on the immigrants that are here. Everyone's here. They're being allowed in. They want to have a better life. They come here and they realise shit's bloody expensive. Regardless, close the gates down, close the door. If you want to deal with demand problems and supply problems, that's the way to do it.
Housing, we've had increased a build-to-rent scheme to encourage private investment. We have absolutely done everything through our $47 million Homes for Australians plan. But what's clear is that we need to do more because there's nothing more aspiring than the legitimate aspiration that Australians have to own their own home. And we can't sit back and watch a generation be locked out. That's what...
Yeah, that's out. So that's why we're going to tax all their other investments and remove that capital gains tax discount that was there that would have helped people get on their way. Oh, however, though, we still want to help people get there. We're just going to tax them along the way and raise billions of dollars in the first couple of years from these young, hopeful homeowners who are doing what anybody else is trying to do, trying to get ahead in life. And they thought that maybe investing in ETFs, an index fund, they're managing it themselves through ComSec or NAB trading. And they've done all right. They might have had a bit of luck on there. And now they've held it for over 12 months. And what are we going to get? Taxed out the arse.
We've made this...
This is one thing I want to talk about, capital gains tax. Why are we paying? Why? Like, what risk has the government taken to be involved in this transaction? Now, if they had a stake in it, you could understand it. They don't. It's like second and third jobs. Why are you going to be taxed out the arse on those? That's why there's a black market. That's why there's a cash economy. People doing cash in hand.
It's a difficult decision, and we're being
upfront. I want to say this, right? You get taxed out the arse on the way through with stamp duty, which is the biggest rort of all time. You're looking now probably $50,000 to $70,000 up front, depending on the value of the home. But let's say it's standard family home, $900,000 to maybe 1.3. I wouldn't even say that's drastic to have that price. That's almost standard now. 3-bedroom home, small backyard, small front yard maybe, or even a townhouse, depending on where you're living. 1.3 million, 5.5% is the stamp duty rate in Victoria. I know they're different in different jurisdictions. I think some are higher. 5.5% of 1.3 million, you're looking at about 70,000 odd bucks, maybe more, just to gift the government in a lump sum because you had saved your ass off for many, many years to be able to bring together a deposit to then go borrow money from the bank. People aren't questioning that. And now, on the back end, they want to tax you more. I know they're talking about property owners and where capital gains tax doesn't apply. Soon it will. I can see them coming for that next. Well, all you boomers out there who are living in your family home, we're going to put capital gains tax on your family home so that you're forced to sell by a certain time. You're going to see it coming. It's a very slippery slope. But I do think it is ironic in a way, and I don't like seeing people getting shafted, but I do find it ironic in a way, and I've been saying this last couple of days. Everyone's been saying how great it is, shove it right up property investors or property owners, whatever you want to call them, slumlords, landlords, scumbags, whatever you want to call them. Get it right up there, full-on fisting up there with a pile of sand as lube. But the thing that you were screaming for to happen to other people who had been diligent and a lot of the time saved their asses off to buy those investment properties, those rules now apply to you and your investments. Oh, no, this is bullshit. You've pulled the ladder up.
About that, whilst, of course, protecting existing investments being put in place by grandfathering all the changes, so that if you have a property which is currently negatively geared, there's no change there. The difference is, going forward, you can still invest in a property, you can still negatively gear it, but it'll have to be a new property. And what that does is invest not just in yourself, but in the nation as well.
Does change translate to lie in government language?
So I want to talk about the quality of these new builds. Absolute shit. So they're going to push investors into investing in bloody things that are knocked up quickly with corners cut. Unless you're paying big money from a custom boutique builder, you're not going to get a home built to the same quality of even the more basic brick homes, cream brick, three bedroom house that you would have had in the 60s, 70s, 80s that you would have grown up in. A lot of people would have grown up in those homes. They just stand there forever. You drive past, you might have moved out when you were a kid or at a certain time and it's been 30 or 40 years. You drive past, house hasn't changed. You drive past these other joints, the fucking renders falling off them. They're fading, the paint's fading, the cladding looks shit. Full of damp, low quality Chinese products. Only after a matter of years. So you're going to try and get people to invest in that and pay top dollar for it.
Well, we've changed our position.
So you've lied about your
Sarah.
position.
Liar.
No, we've changed our position.
But what's changed, Prime
we've
Minister?
changed our position.
What's changed so much in the past 12 months that you've had to break a promise you repeatedly made when it comes to affordability and the intergenerational gap?
Iran. War in Iran.
What's changed is that over a period of time it's become very clear. We have our $1.2 million target for new homes, as that wasn't going to be reached unless we did something in addition to that on supply. And what's changed as well is increasingly, not just young Australians, but parents and grandparents watching your program this morning who say, I'm worried about my kids and grandkids over whether they will ever be able to own their own home. And that's why...
Maybe stop tax. That's why we're taxing you more. You fucking scumbags. How about don't tax people so much? How about that? No, you can't do that though. You get taxed so many different ways. Think about how many times say you earn $1, and by the time you spend that dollar, how many times the tax man's taking a clip out of that $1. From the moment you've earned it, generated it, been paid by your employer, or if you're a sole trader or if you run your own business, paid yourself, then by the time you've paid payroll tax, if you do run a larger company, then you get their money, you pay it to them, they pay PAYG tax, which comes out. Then they go and buy alcohol, they buy petrol, cigarettes if they're into that. Everything else that has a hidden tax on it. By the time you spend your money, at least I reckon another 50 cents out of that dollar's gone. Tax to death. If you want people to be able to buy homes, number one, stop importing 1 million bloody immigrants every year. I don't know what the number is, 500,000 or 600,000, whatever it is, it's too many. Stop doing that. And stop taxing people out the arse. Actually have money to buy property. People say, well, no, that'll cause inflation, G-man, and blah, blah, blah. I'd rather the money in our pocket than the government's. They're just going to piss it up on the wall and cause inflation anyway.
We're being upfront about this. We have changed our position. We're owning that, and we're explaining why. Because I don't want to see an Australia which is divided into people who have homes and some multiple homes and people who simply will never be able to achieve the dream and make it a reality of having a roof over their head.
So you're taking money from those parents and grandparents who have already paid their fair share of tax during the paid wages that they earned, and then they can't help their kids, so then they become more reliant on the government. I mean, it's just the maths behind.
I like her. Get into him. Just fucking boom, right in there, Sarah. Smash him.
We're not. No, we're not, Sarah. Let's be very clear, Sarah. Be very clear. There is absolutely no change to existing properties. If you had a property even under contract, you bought it on the weekend, you can still negatively gear it. You can still get all of those concessions.
Prime Minister, as you well know, Bill Shorten took negative gearing
and in addition
to the
to
2019 election and he lost. Why have you chosen to lie to Australians instead of letting them vote on it?
No, what we've done is putting in place measures whilst grandfathering existing arrangements. But in addition to that, Sarah...
They don't answer the question. You just keep saying, go here, so he'll start answering it, and then he goes off just ranting like he's a bloody 80-year-old lunatic. And we're doing this, and then, by the way, we're also getting fuel prices down and electricity and all these other things unrelated to the fucking question. It's a bit of an art, isn't it? Talking straight up shit.
What we've done is to take every single dollar across the forward estimates that will come from any changes to tax, and we're delivering them back. So to the parents and grandparents, if you like, if they're working, they will benefit from our Working Australian tax offset of $250 that comes on top of.
Oh, you're going to get $250, you plebs. Enjoy it, throw it on the fucking ground while he's walking away with everybody else's tax money. Here you go, here's your $250, you scumbag, and you bloody be happy you got that. Oh, by the way, all your electricity bills have gone up by $2,000 a year. Your gas is up. Your water rates are up. Council rates are up. Insurance is up. Food's up. Oh, and have your $1,000 tax deduction, no questions asked, which will probably work out to about $300 in your pocket. There you go, have your $570 while we just bend you over, use a handful of sand down at the local beach as lubricant and get the crumb sausage right up there.
The
in
income
2028,
tax cut
so
will bring in on
it equates
July
to about
1.
$1 a day or less, and that'll probably eat into bracket creep.
July, Sarah. July, you get a tax cut. Next July, you get another tax cut. If you want to, you can put in your automatic tax deduction and get $1,000 deducted as well. And then the Working Australia tax...
How'd you guys vote for him, seriously? Like, what? This is the bloke who's got our destiny in his hands. Yeah, he's a puppet, obviously, but this is the guy who's sitting there running the country. Just rambling on.
Set comes in as well.
All right. Will you introduce a death tax?
No.
But things change, don't they?
Yeah.
As you and the Treasurer have repeatedly said.
No, these are the positions that we've put in, Sarah.
But you've also said that things change. So how can we believe you?
We have put forward, Sarah, we have put forward these changes. We're being upfront about that. We are saying we've changed our position and why we have changed our position. And we have changed our position because we don't want a generation of...
because you're broke and you need to get more money out of people. We don't want a generation of people not being able to afford a home, but however, we take away other wealth creation mechanisms, and we also profit off it as the government. How good's that? And we give you $270, you scumbag.
People who watch your program to be sitting there and thinking they're going to be renting for the rest of their lives. And by doing it as well, we're still allowing...
Yeah, watch your rents go up, buddy. Buddy boy. On existing properties, they're going to go right up. If people buy investment grade properties, which generally people are more attracted to, which aren't these brand new builds that, as I said to you, you bloody lean on it and you'll put your arm through the render. Guess what? They're going up. And guess what else will happen? Then those people who are buying these negatively geared, brand new, off the plan properties, they're going to raise their rents just as high. No, G-Man, that won't happen because people have a limit for what they can pay and what they will put up with in the market. Yep, good luck with that. Good luck with telling people that who are getting shafted by the government. You can thank the government for it. Don't go blaming landlords and other business owners who have to raise their prices. Blame him. Blame the bloke you voted in that you're screaming up and down. You wanted him in. He was going to bring house prices down 2 years ago. What are they doing here? They're just taking money out of your pocket, and they're going to try and sweeten it with $270. There you go. You get $270. What are you going to do with that? What, buy a couple of PlayStation games or go out on the piss for one night? Take some slurry out for a date off Tinder or something like that for $250 and you're done. Like what are you going to do with the money? That's not going to help you in any meaningful way. Or probably get absorbed into your electricity bills that are going to go up. Or your rent that's going to go up.
Negative gearing, just for new properties. And the difference between buying an existing property and negatively gearing it and buying a new property is that an existing property will enable you to benefit from that investment. A new property benefits the nation as well because it adds to supply. And that's why we're throwing absolutely everything at this because we need to make the change. This is a difficult decision, but it's absolutely the right decision.
Prime Minister, don't your own figures state, though, that rent is likely to go up and that you are actually cutting housing by some 35,000?
No, that's not right, Sarah.
Over the next decade? But your own figures say that.
No, they don't, Sarah. You're picking out one figure. You're not looking at
so the figure is
the whole system. and the whole system means 30,000 for this measure.
I'm picking out a figure because it's there. So you're actually decreasing housing supply. You're talking up these 75,000 extra Australian households that'll be able to buy homes over the next decade, over 10 years. I mean, that's roughly equivalent to, I think, a 1% increase in home ownership in that time.
That is just one of the measures that we've put in place.
But it's it's one of the most crucial, isn't it? I mean, this whole budget is based on housing and affordability and breaking an intergenerational gap when actually the deficit projected as well means...
I'm surprised they're letting her go right in on him like this. Good on you, Sarah. Get amongst it. Left, right, good night. Elbo's not enjoying that. Look at his face.
That those younger voters who you're trying to increase the wealth of will be paying back the debt that you were accumulating in that time.
Yep.
Sarah, we've reduced debt by $173 billion since we came into office. We have $64 billion of savings in this budget as well, and every single dollar of additional revenue, of upgrades, we're banking, as we did in WIEFO. The first time that for two economic statements in a row that has occurred by any government in Australian history. So we're making sure this is a responsible budget. What we are doing is making some tax changes, but giving back every single dollar in tax relief through our Working Australian tax offset. To make a difference.
All right, Prime Minister, very busy morning for you coming up. Thanks so much for giving us your time.
Welcome to the Budget Danger Zone, everyone. We begin this with the fallout from the federal budget. The Treasurer unveiling the most ambitious tax changes Australia has seen in decades while breaking election promises.
13 million Australians will receive a $250 tax offset from 2028, while workers will be able to access a $1,000 instant tax deduction.
Negative gearing is now restricted to new builds, while the capital gains tax is being replaced.
The Treasurer says this will help an extra 75,000 Australians achieve the dream of home ownership.
How do they pull that finger? Where does that number even come from? It's just straight out of their ass. Just some forecasting bullshit. They've paid a Big Four consultancy firm to go in there and model some macroeconomic shit up. All hocus pocus.
Making investors pay $77 billion over the next decade.
So we're taking this action to try and address a challenge which has become increasingly clear to us is a bigger and bigger.
Yeah, your budget. Like you're in debt, and as I said, they're going to rip off $77 billion off property investors over the next 10 years. But we're doing this for the people. Okay, but you're also taxing the people more too. If you can't just see what this is, as I said, you got rocks in your head. I know I've been ranting about it the last 2 days. I find it very challenging to understand how these guys are going to get in again, but they will. That's the thing, they will.
Problem over time.
This morning we have live interviews with key policymakers, including the Prime Minister and the Treasurer, plus analysis from Nine's political editor Charles Croucher and money editor Effie Zahos.
We have team coverage this hour. First, the federal politics reporter, Connor McGovern. Connor, good morning to you again. This is a budget built on broken promises.
Yeah, it is. But first, Carl, happy Budget Boxing Day. There's no leftover ham, but the Prime Minister, he has told a porky, promising not to touch negative gearing repeatedly or the capital gains tax discount, and they've both been overhauled. Negative gearing restricted to new builds from July next year, while the capital gains tax discount, it's been wound back like it's 1999. The 50% tax break replaced by the less generous Keating-era indexation model. Together, they'll raise $3.6 billion over the next 2 years. That'll help to build 65,000 new homes, which need new roads and new sewers. That's unsexy stuff, but it is necessary stuff. While there's also a ban on foreign home buyers buying existing properties. That's been extended for another 2 years, while a 30% minimum income tax
It should be banned for life. Why are people buying our properties up? Because they get extra tax on it, that's why. They slug them. Extra stamp duties and fees or levies or whatever it is on top of it, that's why. They don't give a shit about you, they just want the money. No one should be buying our properties. Only people who are citizens of Australia. That's it. Go try and buy a house overseas somewhere. Good luck with that. Unless you're a citizen, you ain't going to be buying shit over there. Look at Thailand, for example. You won't be able to buy a property over there. Banned.
That's being whacked right on trusts. These changes to tax breaks, they'll help pay for tax cuts. A new $250 tax offset coming. If you see the acronym called WATO, that's what this is, as well as the instant $1,000 deduction that comes into place next year. Now, this is a promise that the Prime Minister did keep. And $5 a week tax cuts that have been legislated already, they'll double next year, putting $536 into your back pocket. It is a morsel for workers, but make no mistake, housing is the headline.
Are we done with the lies now? Oh, look, I think the statements that we made at the time of the election reflected the government's overwhelming focus on supply. We've maintained that in the budget, but we've come to a different view on a number of key policies.
Now, what this budget also shows is that the inflation dragon, it hasn't been tamed. Forecast to peak at 5%. It's then going to come down to 2.5% next year.
Bullshit. How do you even know that? What's driving inflation? Bloody utilities, rent, and government spending. Oh, it's a fuel in Iran, guys. It's a fuel crisis. It's that Donald Trump. He's doing that. It's got nothing to do with us. Oh, and then it was the war in Ukraine. And then it was COVID. Oh, come on. Take some accountability.
Unemployment, it's also forecast to rise to 4.5%. Now, things could get worse. This is a pretty good case scenario, but things could get worse if the war in the Middle East continues. Modelling a scary scenario that if oil hits $200 US dollars a barrel, in that case, inflation could surge to 7%. Unemployment could hit as high as 5%. But as it stands, Carl and Sarah, debt, it's surging past $1 trillion at some point this year. Now, just so you're aware, the Prime Minister and the Treasurer, they're both speaking at the moment, and they'll both be on the show shortly.
Looking forward to that, Connor. Thank you. Let's bring in Nine's Money editor now, Effie Zahos. Effie, good morning to you. So what does the budget mean for everyday Australians?
Yeah, good morning, guys. Look, as Connor pointed out, those oil prices, that was like the worst case scenario. The analysis in the paperwork shows that Treasury believes that it will stay around $100 a barrel up until the end of this month, and then around $80 right until next year. That is still higher, guys, than what the price was before the war erupted in the Middle East here, which means for households, that energy is still going to be a big issue. And remember, this obviously flows through, you know, high oil prices. It's not just moving one thing to another that's going to cost more, but our grocery prices. So households last night who probably tuned in and thought, hey, am I going to get a sugar hit here? Is there something that's going to help me pay these household bills? Absolutely not. So they're disappointed there. It's a bit of a juggle case because obviously, as Connor did point out, that inflation, if there was a lot of spending, then households aren't stupid. They know that, you know, I'm not going to just save $10 here, get a $10 bonus and then pay more in a higher interest rate. So we know that the government had to be modest with the amounts of stimulus coming through. But look, the tax cuts, the benefits coming through, a lot of these aren't coming through for another couple of years, so it's not doing much.
Yeah, and then inflation's going to be well and truly eating those up by then anyway. It's if people can't see that they're just taking money out of your pocket constantly, and they're trying to say they're doing you a favour and give you a little sweetener here, a little sugar hit. I don't know if, obviously, for some people, $275 might be a lot of money. I dare say for most people, it's a few bags of groceries these days, or it's one shop down at your local Woolworths. Like, I mean, it doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything. All right, I think I might leave it there. Really, we've ranted on enough here. We've sort of let this go on for as long as I think I would probably want to talk about this topic today. So for those of you who have enjoyed the content, consider subscribing, like, comment and share and all that sort of stuff. And I appreciate you all who watch my videos all the way through to the end here. It's much, much, much appreciated. Can't do it without you guys and grow this channel and get it back on track. Thank you very much. See you in tomorrow's video.